Good afternoon, everybody. It's RT here from HxroLabs and episode 44 with my old friend Joe Birch. How are you, brother?
Let's go. What's going on, man?
Good,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Well, yeah, just watching the market fall apart before our eyes. Actually, looking like a pretty standard bullish retest across the board. So we're definitely going to get into some price action today because there's been plenty of it. And want to dive into what you've been building over the last little while. I guess I should look over here because I know you have been working your balls off day in and day out, probably for years. But recently, I guess, well, recently, probably like 2 years now, you've been building. What have you been building, Joel?
Biddling. The appropriate term is biddling.
Biddling.
It's kind of like hodling, but for product. Yeah, I mean, it actually goes back to keep it super simple. I mean, you recall when we used to work on different stuff together a couple of years ago, kind of my core mission, I would say, as an entrepreneur in this ecosystem in particular, has been to just kind of make the user experience of investing in crypto suck less. And so that was kind
Yeah.
of the initial starting point for me was, getting into crypto pretty early, like 2015, via buying Bitcoin on Coinbase. Okay, that's simple enough. They answered the question how to buy crypto, how to buy crypto. That's a question that in 2020 has been answered. There's a couple of really good places.
Yeah.
The problem is that's where the good user experience ends, right? It ends at how to buy crypto, and it doesn't quite ever, it hasn't yet gotten into what crypto to buy, right?
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to put a focus on making that an easier question to answer. And about 18 months ago, we conceptualized the product that later became Stacked, which is an automated investment platform that just makes it super easy for people to manage their crypto portfolio, but most importantly, subscribe to successful strategies of other portfolio managers, funds, etc. And
Nice.
that's
Like,
what we're doing.
yeah, well, in a nutshell, I mean, that's something I wanted to talk about today because one of the things we get a lot of, and Nick and I are on here 3 days a week, and we do a lot of TA. We do a lot, we are traders and we spend a ton of time developing our craft, and we are full time. But we understand that it's not easy to do that. Most people just either aren't cut out for trading on an emotional level or based on their time allocations, their interest level. People don't want to trade. They're just like, this tech sounds cool. It's asymmetric investment. I think there's a lot of upside. I just want in. And I don't even want to look at it, next week, next month. But I don't want to maybe just buy Bitcoin and stick it in a wallet. That doesn't sound as sexy. And so you've kind of found this happy medium where you can get in, get exposure, have some sort of passive management system in place, and go from there where you don't have to necessarily be a trader. And you mentioned, I think you guys have a bot marketplace too, right? So you can actually get
Yep.
exposure to someone else's algorithm.
Yeah, there's a lot
by
of super
subscription.
popular strategies out there on Twitter, like a Gansey bot or a Moon Overlord bot or Altcoin Cycle or whatever, just to name a few.
Yeah.
They have trading strategies. And so if you are a trader like yourself, there's definitely something to be said for having some exposure to some strategies that are automated. But for the most part, that's more of, you know, more of an effort to stay more active in the space. And if you really
Yeah.
want to turn trades, then the algo marketplace is just the most transparent way to do that. I mean, it's every piece of data on the marketplace is data we collected in real time. So it doesn't allow like a strategy author, right, to
Yeah.
put up bullshit backtest data or whatever the case may be. And so that's cool. But the big focus is on that long-term passive stuff, right? So buying like a pre-built portfolio or subscribing to like a hedge fund strategy where
Yeah.
it
Yeah, I was
updates
on
all
there.
the time.
I was on there the other day. I saw you have a whole bunch.
Yep.
And eventually you're actually working towards customizable, so you can kind of make your own as well, right? So I
Yeah.
could pick all my favorite shitcoins from Binance and just drag the sliders up so that I have just enough of each one. So I was actually on there last week looking into it, obviously in preparation for this as well, but also because even though I trade a lot, I focus on my futures account mostly, as I tell people on here. But there's certain things I just want to have access to. Like I want exposure to DOT. I want exposure to AVAX. I want exposure to some of the newer,
Yeah.
Potentially major projects as we head into next year. And I don't really want to worry about shorting them and longing them. I just kind of want to dollar cost average them. So
Yep,
So
same.
that's beautiful. So we're going to dive into that today and really answer the question. I don't know if she's here right now, but I was getting my hair cut on Saturday, and my stylist, Renee, shout out to you if you're watching. She said she was going to check it out because for 2 years I've been going in there talking about crypto. And finally the other day she's like, I really think, I need to learn this shit. I need to like just wrap my head around it, maybe get a little bit, start dollar cost averaging in. I said, yes, you should. And on Monday, I have the perfect guest on the show who we're going to walk through some of that sort of no coiner, newer to the space, easier access, and some of those more advanced features that, give you advanced stuff, but don't necessarily have to be a full timer to figure out. So we're going to dive into that. Just want to say what up to Scott and Dave and Rocky. We got them in the lobby here. We got Careful Snail over on TradingView. Welcome, brother. Good to see you guys. And as the lobby and sort of the stream fills up, I think I'll flip over to some charts here because it is a big old bloody Monday. And I think it would serve our following well if we just take a quick look at a few charts here. And while I set that up, maybe you could tell me, when is the last time you looked at a chart?
Okay, so I look at least the Bitcoin chart pretty much daily. But here's what happened. I came into crypto, right, as a non-coiner, like I said, about 5 years ago. Fine. Buy and hold some Bitcoin, fine. Then in late 2016, going into 2017, got a little bit more interested. And again, the answer to how to buy crypto was, that question rather, was never answered. And so trading was the only thing that made sense. Let me learn how to trade. So as you know, I worked alongside you and Bitcoin Jack Sparrow and some other cool guys for several years and dedicated my life to trading. And so it was a big part of my daily, the time that I spent each day was just trying to learn how to trade. So I'm fairly competent. I can, especially when it comes to price action trading, which is something I prefer, just kind of simple support resistance levels and stuff like that. I'm fairly competent, but me not looking at charts today is more about me just being like a pretty busy, business owner, and also just not being particularly interested in short-term crypto exposure. I'm basically making investments right now in the industry that I'm pretty comfortable holding on to for a long period of time. So to answer your question, it's been a while since I've looked seriously at a chart or did any type of technical analysis, just because Stacked automates all my investing, and for the most part, it's very, very passive nowadays.
Yeah. Which, I think some would argue is probably going to be tough to beat over the next
I mean,
year or
listen,
two.
it's for sure, dude. Listen, most people are not going to outperform half of the baskets, like the pre-built crypto baskets that are on Stacked. Most people will not be able to outperform those. But for all of those that want to try,
Well, and even myself trading full time. I mean, I say full time. I'm actually more content creating full time and then trading throughout that as much as I can. Lately, have been doing a lot more analysis and watching trades come and go without actually trading them. I'll give you a great example of, and this actually this morning. You guys know I like to take shots against highs and lows. I mean, beautiful on the 15-minute came in this morning on Bitcoin with this fail here. And I just kind of watched it come and go. I mean, I'm mostly focused on the content stuff. So let's dive into this because, I mean, to your point, I'm probably going to have to work my balls off for the next 2 years if I want to outperform one of those indexes. I plan to. I think my attraction to trading is the feeling of control that it gives me. So, when I'm just holding my crypto, I feel like I am at the mercy of the market, which obviously for the last 2 years has been a bit torturous and challenging. And likely, taking lessons you learned on the previous cycle and applying them to the next one are not ideal as far as like, learning everything you learned the hard way in a bear market and now using that to try to navigate a bull market is not probably not the best. But I have, I have found success. I found a trading plan that works for me. And I just like the idea of like flipping the switch. For example, I sold my spot Bitcoin today up against these highs. Like I didn't take this on my futures account, but I sold my spot Bitcoin and I've got a stop limit order to get back in right here. So it's like a $150 move. I'll be back in. But if we do come back down and test these previous range highs, I'll be right there with my tether to buy back. So like more, I consider that sort of passive trading. If anything,
swing.
yeah, swing trading. I mean, this is Like that's a pretty nasty exit. And right now we're just flagging. I don't think we've broken down at all, but don't tell that to the Ethereum bulls because that one dumped today. We're going to take a look at that. Um, so this is an easy exit for me on spot as far as just because I'm so close to those highs. I'm like, yeah, why not? Some bearish divergence on a couple things. And then let's get into these range highs and we'll see where I'm at. ETH BTC broke down today. That I think has been a bit of a catalyst. We saw last week coming up into this big resistance. And, this is not the kind of resistance that's just going to go away in one push. I don't think. We've got the test here, test here, test here, test here, test here. Like this was strong support. So when it breaks with some volume, nothing crazy, but some decent volume, don't expect, the bulls to win the first match back in. I mean, that'd be a sick fake out, but I don't think.
Well, look at that VPVR. I mean, that's absolutely stacked.
And then exactly. So you've got a ton of this sort of volume to get through. A lot of people interested in doing business there. So after this level's lost, I mean, that's why it's not just resistance, it's key resistance. And of course, we've got this big, ugly gap, speaking of VPVR, down here. I mean, literally nothing was traded here. It just went zoop, vacuum. Yep. And we saw that here. And the last time I saw this, Joel, I was working with you about 2 years ago, and it was the 4,200 breakout in the spring of 2018 or 2019. And that was crazy because I remember at the time, I still distinctly recall, it was right before the Attorney General New York thing.
Yeah.
And it was right here.
Yep.
And it was this kind of thing. And I thought, holy shit, that's not healthy. That's going to have to get filled in. And I thought it would be like this, where I could get a fill and then go. And it never came back to me until the March 2013 madness. And of course, a year later, I didn't have my bids working. But I thought that was pretty mind-blowing that ever since this still was printed, I was like, okay, wow, that's not healthy. We're going to have to fix that. And some would say that's part of the TA, at least for like TA purposes, partly why.
For me, Ether was always one of the, I mean, it's really just Bitcoin and Ether. You can make an argument for a couple of majors like Link, but for me, Ether, I always exclusively analyzed against the dollar, not versus Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's, if Bitcoin is not correlated and it's pumping, Ether could still be a good trade, right? Like,
yeah. Well, here's the thing. So that, to me, this accelerated the move today. Like that's why Bitcoin is still kind of up in its higher upper range flagging, and ETH just like fell off. And this is actually why I'm hesitant to long ETH versus USD, because the chart, obviously, versus Bitcoin is so nasty. I mean, this just looks like 80% probability that we're going to have to clean this chart up. In which case, if anything, I'm going to long Bitcoin or have that exposure. And you can see it here. So when we had the move up, Ethereum was delayed and behind Bitcoin last week and never even reached new highs, whereas like Ethereum obviously is still not even up in this RLZ yet. And then, of course, when they both pull back a bit, Ethereum pulls back way harder and Bitcoin not so much.
As altcoins tend to be more volatile anyways. It's just that for me, when I would analyze Ether versus Bitcoin, I would feel so out of control. Like, yeah, this is support, but I have to then therefore analyze Bitcoin too, because Ether should sit here on support, but if Bitcoin is completely unrelated, dumps or pumps or is volatile in any way, then this is completely invalidated.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, it's completely controlled by Bitcoin. In that case.
You mean the ETH BTC pair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, how is it going to react to support if ETH BTC is sitting at support, but BTC USD is sitting at resistance, and then as a result BTC dumps, then I don't know. For me, again, just for Ether in particular, which is where I really made my bread and butter for a couple of years, I just always analyze it versus the dollar. Not to say that it's wrong to do otherwise.
No, yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, and this is part of it. So Renee is here. So what up, Renee? Good to see you. So happy you made it. And for those of you who just joined us, that's my hairstylist, and she wants in. So I told her we'd spend a little bit of time today speaking to the no coiners, letting them know exactly what they should do if it's their first day and they just want to learn something new and maybe get in. So, of course, nothing should be considered financial advice on the show. So keep that in mind. We are not professional advisors. I've got Joel Birch here from Stacked Crypto, and we are talking about Ethereum. Now, Joel, you make a really good point, and that is basically you're trading versus USD, and typically I am as well. But of course, now that I've in this deep into the TA, there's a few things I look at. Bitcoin dominance is one of the main ones when it comes to trading altcoins versus Bitcoin. And of course, as you know, Ethereum is the king of altcoins versus Bitcoin. So when this is bearish and when dominance is bullish, looking upwards, then I am forced to say, cool my jets on altcoins. And in this case, I actually see a decent opportunity arising for someone who perhaps missed the breakout on ETH last
Yep.
week, because even last week when it was up here and I was tweeting out just saying, look, there's a pretty good chance that we're going to have to pull back, test this level. At the very least, saying if we do that, it's not bearish. So we are not bearish yet, even though if you woke up this morning and you were in an underwater long because you got eager and you tried to chase this flag, it's going to hurt and it's going to feel like a big bloody Monday. But really, any other day of the week, this is pretty standard price action. You can't just go straight up. You got to break out. The bulls take their profit, the bears short it, and now we're right back into a place where the bulls should step up. If you're bullish on Ethereum in the short and midterm, this is where big money should be placing some bids. So we'll see how this resolves today. I'm really watching this 4-hour close, which is in about an hour and 42 minutes. So if that can pull back up here and close as sort of like a hammer doji, then the next candle is going to tell us a story into the daily close tonight. So we're going to keep an eye on these charts and uh, get through some altcoins. I know some of you guys probably showed up today thinking about different coins you have in the market, different things you want to learn about. So we will definitely get into that, but we're going to flip back to screen share now, or away from screen share. Jump back on here with Joel. Might actually get you to screen share in a bit if you want. But let's just reel it in for a second here and we'll talk to Renee. What would you say to someone, Joel, who said, how do I get in? As simple as possible. I don't want to chart. I have no idea what a bull is, what a bear is, what price action. Like, I don't know anything, but I do know that someone showed me on Bitcoin and I would like exposure to cryptocurrency. Where do I start?
Yeah, well, Renee, for starters, it starts with where are you jurisdictionally located, right? So if we're speaking to people in the United States, unfortunately for you, pretty limited in terms of your options. You should probably buy some spot crypto, Ether, Bitcoin, etc., on Coinbase, and wait for Stacked to come and save the day and support you. Working with regulators actually as we speak, and with an SEC attorney and other things to hopefully bring some solutions to you here in the US. But for people who are eligible to use Binance, it's definitely going to be the easiest way, I think, to onboard some fiat into crypto. And that's going to be as simple as just buying Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
From
So
there, though,
creating an
yeah,
account at Binance.com. And again, we're not affiliated with Binance.com, but I agree with you. It is, I mean, I think it's like 60% of the market share right now as far as active use. I use it
yeah,
primarily. It's my main go-to. I've got accounts at about 20 exchanges, but primarily using Binance and FTX. And yeah, so as far as step one goes, I would agree. I think if you just want in, and let's just preface this with like, you've got to really measure your risk, right? So what I would really tell someone is like learn this shit first. Understand what you're investing in. Go to, Googling what is Bitcoin? Like how does a blockchain work? You don't have to do that. But personally, I would say do it because in volatility, for example, when prices going way down, maybe what you bought is now underwater and you will be tempted to sell. That's human emotion, right? You're going to be like, oh my God, I'm losing money. That's not what I signed up for. And you are more susceptible to making sort of perhaps rushed or bad decisions if you don't really know what the heck you've invested in. So I'd preface
and
it
that
with
goes
like,
back to
yeah,
just not investing more than you can afford to lose. That whole mantra, it's never been more true. Um, and one of the greatest investors of our time, Warren Buffett, greatest measured by profitability and wealth generation. I don't know him to be a trader per se, but he has a pretty simple rule, and that's that he doesn't invest in things he doesn't understand. Here's the thing: I'm not Warren Buffett. You should probably listen to him over me. But if you did care for my opinion, I would say that's malarkey. because it's no longer 1974, and we don't need to worry so much about value investing. When we look at the like stock market as an example, I basically want exposure to any basket of technology that I can get my hands on, because that's something that I'm basically bullish on in perpetuity. Is going to be like, you know, tech, right? It's going to
Yeah.
be continuing to invest in tech that people are likely to run their lives around. I don't understand, at a deep level how a lot of the tech might work. I've just made the decision that I want some exposure. Crypto should be no different.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not saying don't do research, but you don't need to understand like blockchain technology. You just have to come to the conclusion, however you get there, that you, as an investor, want exposure to the crypto asset class. You might want 5% exposure. You might want 50% exposure, depending on your time horizon or your risk or whatever the case may be. Um, and when I say exposure, I mean, like, let's say you have $1,000 to invest. If you want 10% exposure, that means you're willing to put 100 of that thousand, $100 into crypto, knowing full well that $100 could go on to be worth $10.
Yeah.
Um, Decide how much you want to invest. Get onto Binance in this case. In 6 months from now, get onto Stacked and just use your credit card to buy crypto. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, get onto Binance, buy some Bitcoin, and then connect your Binance account to Stacked and buy a basket that is modeled after like an index, and just let it ride.
Yeah, I mean that's a big reason why I wanted to talk about this today with you, because that's actually what I tell people when they tell me, like I got buddies and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, you're that crypto, you do crypto, right? And
It's too
they're,
confusing.
yeah, they ask me about it, and I start talking to them about it, and they're like, oh, whoa, 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 hold on, bro, just
Mhm.
tell me how to get it. I don't want to
Yeah.
learn things, even offering to pay me, so that they're like, you just do everything and I just want in.
Yep.
And so, we're thinking, okay, sign up to Binance, establish your risk parameters, decide how much you are willing to completely throw away. Not because personally, I don't think you're throwing it away, but you have to go in with that mindset so that you sleep at night, so that you enjoy your life, so that, blah, blah, blah. Don't get greedy and silly, because typically you will at the wrong times anyways. So it's like mooning, and you're like, yeah, now I'm going to take all my risks. So, and then, yeah, like you said, we can go over to Stacked. Do you want to actually show us a little bit about the platform? I mean, I think a glance at it to put a little visual to what we're talking about here. Again, this is the platform I actually use. So I wouldn't usually come on here. We're not like getting paid or anything to promote you. Or obviously, you're a good friend of us over at HxroLabs. But
Yeah. Longtime advisor.
yeah, so but I mean,
Hopefully,
like,
we'll be supporting
let's
Hero on here soon.
hell yeah. So I mean, let's take a peek at it, and then we're gonna pull back in and speak to our more regular crowd who just probably want to look at some charts and talk markets today and see if we can pick apart what the hell happened here to some of these.
Yeah, we can take
Uh,
60 seconds real quick and show it off, keeping in mind that this is actually our beta platform that we rolled out about 9 months ago, and our new platform is launching in about 2 months, and so it'll actually look completely different and have a lot more in it. But if you can see my screen here, this is basically like a company account that I run a bunch of different products on.
we got you. Yep.
But taking a look at what I was talking about for kind of our retail crowd is buying Bitcoin on Binance, and instead of necessarily, maybe subscribing to a higher risk trading bot, just getting yourself into a basket. So we have like this marketplace here of trading algorithms that, as you can see, we have this full performance history for every single algo, net of fees. So you can see how every bot has performed over time. Taking a look at like Trend King as an example, um, each one is created by an author. They determine what the monthly cost of that algo is. They set everything up. We're just like the middleman, right? But you can go on here and you can actually change how much equity and how much maybe potential leverage, and you can see how it would have affected performance. You can see before and after fees, and this is not backtest data. This is all actual trade history that we have collected since the beginning of this algo's kind of existence on the platform. And what's cool is when you mess around with leverage, because each user is going to use different leverage and equity. The default for this
Yeah.
particular algo is 100% equity with 1x leverage. So the default for this algo is this. It's up 202% with a 46% win rate.
So that means if I put in just say $100 and I stick it on 1x leverage, which means it's only trading the 100 and it's trading the full 100, which is what you mean by 100% equity. It's putting my whole amount in
Yep.
at basically spot, like at 1x.
Yep.
So fairly on the lower end of volatile, and that is up what 200%.
Yep.
That
In this
trend change?
case,
Yeah.
since it launched at the beginning of this year, and he chooses to charge $400 a month for this algo. So depending on your portfolio size, that may or may not make sense. But
Yeah,
if
and
you're a
yeah,
user and you said, yeah, go ahead.
no, and I think that's an important thing to mention too. Is like if I'm investing $500,
You're not going to
then
spend $400 a month on
I'm
a
not going to
bot.
spend on a
Yeah.
subscription monthly. But
And listen, if you're
factoring
investing
that kind of stuff in.
$500, you shouldn't be using a bot anyways. These are high risk, right? Like these
Yeah,
are high risk, high reward.
yeah,
And keep in mind, this is unleveraged returns. Almost everybody who uses these algos, this is just one example, they'll use multiple points of leverage, sometimes like up to 5x. Well, what this shows you is if you used 100% equity and used 5x leverage, you would have gotten liquidated, and that would have been that. So
you're
what's
out.
cool is using our engine here, because we have all the live trade history that we collected in real time. Again, not backtest. We're able to show a user in advance of them setting up the algo. There's a reason this is the default, and the higher leverage you go, the more risk obviously that you take on. Now, if you were to use different equity settings, then maybe it's worth the risk, right? Maybe if I only
Yeah,
use
you put like a
35%
quarter of your
equity,
stack in,
now all
so
of a sudden
that
I'm up 600%. So that's that's better play. So
yeah,
it just allows a user to have that kind of transparency. And not all algos are $400 a month. There's algos that have free trials. There's algos that are $100 a month. There's algos that trade 4 times a day. There's algos that trade 4 times a month. And so we have this entire marketplace. But honestly, RT, that's for folks like you and for me who understand setting up a futures account and understand running a few bots. And as you can see, these are the algos that I'm subscribed to currently. These are all the active trades that they're in, and these are all completely automated. So right now, I'm actually in a short. It was completely automated, nothing to do with it.
yeah.
But let's talk to our no coiners, because that's an important distinction. Our no
Yeah,
coiners,
I think that's like medium advanced, right? So you don't have
yeah,
to do it yourself. It's actually pretty dope because like there's
yep,
probably some algos on there that will outtrade me this year. And I work my butt off every day. It's quite labor intensive as far as trading goes. And so, but like you said, what is leverage? What is equity? Like I don't know all that shit.
yep,
So hit me up with, I connect my Binance account, put a few $100 in there.
yep.
What do I click on at your end to like get that sort of running? Because I want some altcoins, man. I heard that's where all
Yes,
the
sir.
gains are at. So where's my
Yeah.
dot? Where's
So
my ETH?
in the very near future, when V2 for Stacked comes out before the end of this quarter, it'll be, like I said, a very different experience. And you'll actually be managing the entirety of your portfolio from Stacked. But today, you'll connect your Binance account, and then for free, you go over to our indexes, which in the future will be called baskets. So you click
Okay.
on indexes, and you can see the available baskets. And basically, these are pre-built portfolios that you can follow. You have Protos, which is one that I personally have running. And Protos is actually managed by a pretty successful hedge fund out of Switzerland called Protos Management. And every Friday, they completely update this entire portfolio. So it's connected to my Binance account. I have it using the entirety of my available Bitcoin. And every single Friday, this entire portfolio will update. It may go 100% into Tether. It may go 100% into Bitcoin. It may be some variety of all these different tokens. It may completely remove some of these tokens and add new ones, based on the strategy from this particular fund that is actively managing the composition of this portfolio. So a week ago, this was 80% Tether. When I logged in
I
on
noticed that
Friday,
actually. Yeah.
it
I
was
was like,
completely updated.
dude,
Yep.
I didn't know how it worked, but I noticed last
Yep.
week that one I was reading about all your indexes and I saw that one, it was like 80% tether. I was like, ooh, that's fairly conservative. I like that. Because if
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
using this, I don't want to lose money. I don't mind if I miss a few gains. I just
Exactly.
want to make sure it grows, right?
And sometimes it's not in Tether at all. Sometimes it's only in altcoins. And that's what's cool about this particular portfolio, and what we're coming out with Stack Select. So in Q1 of next year, if you're a qualified participant, you'll be able to subscribe to Stack Select. It'll give you access to these actively managed funds that allow you to keep custody of your crypto, but still follow a hedge fund strategy without having to like go through all the bureaucratic red tape of investing with a fund. So
Yeah.
that's really exciting. But really, for again, the average person who isn't going to go through stack select or whatever. What we have here is just these baskets that are modeled after really popular indices that exist, like Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto or the Coinbase 12 or the Bitwise 10, or F5, which is a popular index, the Robinhood 6, right? So like you may say, like, listen, I just want exposure to all the tokens that are listed on Robinhood, with the exception of Bitcoin SV because they're not supported by Binance.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's basically it, man. You just choose which one you think you might want. You tell Stacked how much of your available Bitcoin to use, and then you
And
click
then it
add.
buys it automatically
Yeah, and then
on
it goes
Binance.
exactly.
It
Yep,
it buys and sells it for you to get you into and out of positions.
exactly. So
Oh,
if you have rebalancing turned on, every rebalancing quarter, it'll sell. You can run tests on Stacked to see how the historical performance would have changed with and without rebalancing. Sometimes rebalancing is more profitable, others it's not. By far, the most popular portfolio on the platform is the DeFi portfolio, the DeFi
that
basket.
thing's been killing it this year. Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, year to
I'm
date.
watching that chart. See that chart? It's like it's coming down
Yeah,
to support, and I'm ready to
I
like
know.
fire it.
Dude,
Like,
as soon as it gets down to right around actually where it's at, right around here, if it
yeah,
starts to move sideways, dude, I'm gonna come back in. I'm gonna select Binance, and then I'm gonna
crank it
move
up.
this up, and then
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
I'm gonna
charting
own.
the shit out of the DeFi perp. For any of you watching and wondering, that's
Yep,
basically like a swap product, it's basically a token that represents all of DeFi. And so when that thing, it's
yep,
trending down right now, but when that thing turns bullish, we'll be here talking about it. And that's when I'm
yep.
probably going to just slide over and start up my DeFi
At
index
one
on this
point,
thing.
this portfolio, this is a spot portfolio, no leverage, no liquidations, etc., was up almost 1,600% on the year. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's now it's DeFi is less sexy right now. There's been a huge sell off, as you can see by the tokens that are make up this portfolio. But if you wanted exposure to DeFi for whatever reason, you connect Binance. You have $500. You tell Stacked, use my $500 and buy this basket, and then it'll do
Yeah.
just that. And then if you
And
come in the
spread you out.
next day and say, you know what, I want to get out of crypto and back into Tether or back into a stable coin, you just do this. And boom, it'll sell your entire portfolio and move it into Tether, or
Yeah.
Bitcoin or whatever other asset you want. So
I
really
love that.
exciting.
Yeah, no, you've
How
made
it
it as I think it's fair to say you've made it as simple as possible. It's never going to be insanely simple.
right.
Hold on, I got my green screen all over the place. Ah, there we go. Yeah, it's never going to be just, can't be
I like
that simple. I mean, you gotta earn your stripes. But I'll tell you what, it's easier than buying stocks. Took me weeks to set up a stock account with Interactive Brokers, which I use, and then there's just like you say, red tape. There's a lot more to it. And of course, with stocks, there's a certain minimum to entry.
Yep.
It's hard to really make sustainable gains. Like, again, when I started crypto 2 years ago, I had $2,000 in my savings account. I was like, well, I'm going to put this into Canadian Rail. I would have probably $2,200 right now, like 3 years later. Or I'm going to go buy like, a whole bunch of shit coins during a big bull run. And thankfully, 2017 treated me well. So Renee, if you're still watching, I really hope that helps you out a little bit. I'm sure you have tons of questions. For any of you guys watching, we've got Dark Hat over here on TradingView. He asked, what is the link to the site? He'd like to find out more about it. So I think it'd be fair to drop that link in there. What is the exact link? And I'll type it in.
Yeah. So check it out at trystacked.com. And then at the very least, get your name on the list, on the newsletter list. We have 24,000 subscribers right now. Because keep in mind, again, this is our beta product that launched. We've done $2 billion in trading volume, over $2 billion in trading volume. We've automated over 50,000 trades this year. It's been a successful beta launch, but V2, like what comes out in the next couple months, it literally it'll be so much different than what I just showed you. I mean, and
Okay.
for your stuff, for your hairstylist there, for anyone else out there that even thinks what I just showed you might be a bit too complex, it's about to get a whole lot easier, a lot more mobile friendly, and incorporate simple features like roundups, right? Like when you go and buy your haircut for $20 or $19.96, you can round that 4 cents up into crypto and then invest it into a portfolio for you. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming.
Nice. Okay. Well, I mean, you're never too far away, so we'll surely have you back in here to go through V2. And just to be clear for anyone watching, this is not like hey, come on here and plug your product. I constantly preach to anyone who's watching and anyone who's listening to me that we just want to crush this thing. We want to learn
yeah.
what we can learn, manage risk, like all this stuff. I'm never going to come on here and be like, oh, is the next coin to 100x? I don't fucking know. But what I
Yep.
do know is that there are a select number of products in the space that are either free or affordable that have helped me, or theoretically could, because I trade pretty actively. So I don't
Yep.
have as much need for passive investment management, but I haven't seen anything that comes close to what you guys have built. And so that's why I reached out to you. I said, look, we've got to get on here because I know a lot of people who come to our YouTube and watch, some learning to trade, some really into that. And then others are just like, I don't have much time. Um, and like I said, if somebody right now, or maybe later this year, if we do roll over a little more on something like the DeFi PERP or index, if somebody parked, whatever they're $1,000 into that, $500, um, I'm gonna have a hard time outperforming that. Honestly, through the next big bull run, I'm gonna really
Yeah,
have my
probably.
work cut out for me. I like the way I do it. Like, like last week, I didn't have nearly as much long exposure as I wanted through that bull run. It was stressing me out. Like I was spot long, I had all my Bitcoin, but I didn't have anything on my leverage account. So my futures account didn't move. And I was like, fuck, this sucks. So like it's a grind, but I like that. I like, I've got my thing cut out for me. And so yeah, I wanted to get you on here to really take us through that, because I honestly think for most people, it's going to outperform what they might otherwise have done in the market. And that's really what we're here to do. We're all here to make money.
Yeah.
So
And tying it back to Hxro as well, I started working with the Hxro team, the founding team, like 3 weeks after the whole product was like conceptualized. So I've been part of that for a long, long time, and I absolutely love the product as a person who loves that type of like experience, but isn't super in love with trading. Like I did trading for a while. It's just not my favorite thing to do.
yeah.
So that's what I love about Heroes. It just simplifies that whole experience. Well, tying that back over to Stacked, back on our mission of kind of like automation, we're going to be integrating with Hero at some point, as soon as the tech is ready, which is going to allow people to put strategies out there for people on Hero. So for those of you who are looking at Hero, like, wow, it's pretty, it looks cool, it looks fun. I don't have the time, I don't have the know-how. Soon you'll be able to automate that process as well, and perhaps follow RT's strategy or Messiah's strategy or Nick's strategy for
Yeah.
Hero, and that would be really cool.
I mean, it goes without saying that I love what Hero's built. Now, here at HxroLabs, we're obviously similar but not the same, and we are, we're good friends, let's say. But so much stuff
Yeah,
coming.
I'm talking about the Hero platform,
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm pumped. I am
Yeah.
so excited for Q4. I can't even tell you guys. We don't talk about it too much on here for fear of overlap, but I will tell you this: when you are able to get an index on your Stack platform that I get to create, so that people can follow the RT index like that hedge fund, please tell me. That's my
Oh yeah, that's
curveball question for you today. If that's a feature that's
that's
coming,
that's inside of the next.
hit me
You and
up.
I can get to work on that inside the next couple weeks. So we'll chat. We'll talk for sure.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, I hope you guys watching appreciate the sort of walkthrough on the Stack platform, because, again, I think a lot of data points towards that being something of value for the types of people who are frequenting our YouTube, as well as even guys like myself. Because the other thing too, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, because I want to get into the charts, is like I said last week, if I'm, my futures account, blah, 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 I'm doing this and that. But if we're in a rip roaring bull, which I really think we're going to be either in the next few months or over the next year or two or three, whatever, 10 years, I want exposure to that. And so I actually was on your platform last week to set up, get my things together so that I could have that. So when things are rip roaring, I don't worry about missing it. I'm in. And so even as a trader, I plan to have, whatever, my spot exposure at least sitting on one of those indexes, because then, I've got my exposure, it's rebalancing. I've got quick access to shift it to Tether if I need to. And then I get my
Right.
futures.
If you're holding 10 assets and all of a sudden you decide, holy shit, I need to get into Tether, what would you rather
Yeah.
do? Log into 2, 3 exchange accounts, go in and sell each asset?
Sell. Yeah.
You
Or just
know,
drag
no,
it.
no one
I
wants to do
like
that.
that. It's got sort of like a nuke feature. For example, if there's just like stupid news that comes out and it's just like the world,
I'm out.
government announces world is coming to an end. It's like, well, I think I'll take my Tether. So that there's some stuff there too. So,
Cool.
yeah, that's beautiful, man. I appreciate you
Thanks.
walking us through that. And I'm gonna share. Whoops. I'm gonna get into some coins now, because I have been. Let's see. Share screen window. All right, let's take a look. That's the dominance. We'll start there. All right. So, yeah, it's tough right now because we just had an amazing summer. And I think people are really eager to get back in. And it can be hard to sort of let the market wash out. And I'm going to show you an example of that on a coin that arguably led somewhat during this little summer bull run. It's a coin you've definitely heard of. Goes by the name VET.
Oh, do I have some vet stories?
So this thing,
Guys, you do not even know.
I'm going to use this as an example because it really did lead in some form, like early, into May and June. The Bitcoin pair was just running, and it ran hotter than a lot of alts. It topped beautifully, right? It made new highs here, but the MACD made a lower high, so it showed a loss of momentum. It came down, smacked into what would ultimately be the breakdown level, bounced up, and then just lost itself. It was even kind enough to give everyone who trades and uses TA a nice exit, and they took that exit. That's why price stopped here on the retest, and there was nothing but sellers. And as we come down, I look at this chart and I just think, man, like VET is an asset I want to have exposure to. It's something I would like to be long on.
You still like some of these OG shitcoins?
I
I mean,
do.
that's
I'm
not even an
hooked on
OG.
some of the.
It's definitely 2017. It's not like Sia coin. It's not like OG, but it's 2017.
Yeah, it's a
So like,
2017er, and I
are
don't
you
think
into
it.
like OMG and Neo and Quantum and
Yes. Yeah, I
yeah,
think.
love
Yeah,
it.
I don't have any of them actually. I had a sick short. Probably my trade of the year was pretty recently on Neo. Um,
Oh shit.
so I won't go too far into picking apart this trade, but I mean it was like from right here. It was within like a quarter of a cent of the highs. It felt pretty good about that.
That's awesome.
It was very exciting, yeah, and it
On
was
leverage or spot?
basically on leverage. Yeah, no, I crammed it. It was I mean, we've talked about it on stream. Basically, it was right up against these highs. The Bitcoin pair was like wedge flagging and it just looked bearish. And so we got that short in. I closed it way too early, but I'm killing. So whatever. Yeah, if I held it open now, I'd be retired. So that's the way scalps go when they turn into mid-turn swings. Now, look, my point is VET is not done yet. I just don't think it's done bottoming. It's not, so while we're all super eager, myself included, to just load up on alts, strap myself into my rocket ship and try to sit here and ride it to the next big cycle. It's possible that this this bullish retest, it's very possible that this and this is why dollar cost averaging can be good, because you can pick a level like this, you can buy a little bit, and then if it is the bottom, you got it, and if it's not, you didn't go all in. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for
Yeah.
that, but this does not look like a bottom to me.
How
Right?
similar does this chart look to your OMGs and your Quantum and your
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Neo? 'Cause I bet they're fairly similar. If
Yeah, and
I'm
I'm going to be
guessing, I haven't
charting
looked.
mostly versus USD today because of the dominance, right? So just so you guys know, like when it's risk on, when dominance is falling and all coins are outperforming, I want to chart versus Bitcoin because I want to see like they're outperforming Bitcoin. Right now, I assume the Bitcoin is outperforming. And generally speaking, I'm just trying to protect, we're looking at the USD pair.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that doesn't
It
look
goes
too
both ways.
dissimilar. A little bit more of a blow off top there, but it doesn't look
Yeah,
too dissimilar at
yeah,
all.
and
That's
this
a
was
very, very
actually
similar pattern.
totally, and this makes sense. Because this was an announcement that they were going to have Tether on the OMG network, which is pretty big. I mean, that's a ton of volume. Presumably a use case, a demand driven for you OMG. So I'm not surprised that it like exploded. Perhaps surprised that it went like 10x, but it's down in its RLZ. It's kind of come back into buy zones. So during this, people don't like me because I tell them it's too late to buy. Like this is not an area where you want to get long. People say, "Yeah, bullshit. We're going to the moon." But here we are. We're back into here, and I am saying things like, "Yeah, it's probably a good time to be starting to think about getting some long exposure to these things when they're in these zones." But
Yep.
overall, I think we lost trading view. Oops, looks like it cut. That happens. They are in beta with their streaming, so that's fair. Okay, so we've got core. We've got requests for AION. Everyone here knows I love AION. You know I love AION, Joel.
Oh yeah.
I can't get away from this thing. It's a blessing and a curse. And so what we talked about last week, and this is actually a pretty cool signal that, we'll see if it comes in, is the idea that, I mean, we obviously lost the all-time lows. So as far as like of all the assets in the world, which ones do I want to trade right now? This is not at the top of my list. However, when you lose these huge sort of lows like this, watch the volume. And if the sellers, like, I mean, sellers should show up. There should be people saying, well, we lost the lows, we're going to dump it all. But I actually noticed that there's no selling. Look at this.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good signal. I mean, for sure, it's a great sign if you're choosing to hold through the loss of these lows, because you're like, well, I hope there is no big selling. But what I see now, and not just because I'm a permabull on AION, but mostly I just see a bullish divergence. I see the momentum of this move is slowing. So as price keeps going lower, the internals show that, in fact, it's perhaps a little stronger than it looks. And then there's just no sell volume here, which is incredible because these are all-time lows. So it's a negative price discovery and nobody's really left to sell. So I am leaning towards this being a great sign for AION, but I'm not willing to be the bottom. I want
Yeah.
to
One
see
thing
the
that I,
bottom.
one thing that you, as you probably know, like that I like to stress to super beginners, or, and this probably might go without saying for a lot of people watching the stream, but for me to keep it super simple, not worrying about divergences and VPVR ranges and all this other stuff, you
Yeah.
just look at the volume, and it's a pretty simple concept, right? Less volume means less interest. So, because there's less volume, there's less interest. I mean, and so if the price is moving down and there's less volume, that means there's less interest at those lower prices, which means it's likely to go up again. So when you see a price going up, let's say that AION price was moving upwards and it was going up, but you
Yeah.
see volume going down, that means as that price goes up, there's less and less interest. It means it's likely to stop going up. So it's a good opportunity to sell. The reverse holds true too. When the price is going down and the volume is going down, there's less and less interest. So it's likely to reverse. Now, if the price was going down right now, or yeah, as it is, the price is going down, but volume was going up. If we saw the opposite effect and we saw volume increasing, then I would be for sure this is not the bottom.
Yeah.
For sure, it's going to continue to go lower because there's more and more, like there's more and more volume as we get lower and lower. So just to keep it super high level, when I'm looking at certain altcoins, that's the very first thing I'm going to look at is the volume. And it does tend to precede price. So if you have a huge influx in buy volume, but the price stays fairly stagnant or stays around the same, it's usually a good buy indicator for me.
I'm really glad you brought that up. And I love how you put that, because I often try to describe to people just how important volume is, arguably the most important
I think it's the most
indicator.
important. I mean,
Yeah.
almost every indicator is based off the volume movement in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at something a little more here. So there's not much ink on here, so I'll take that off. Yeah. So for anyone, I mean, really good point about volume here. And in fact, it's interesting because I heard you say that even 2 years ago when we first started working together. And
Yeah.
I didn't really get it. Everyone's like, yeah, volume's the most important thing. I was like, cool, but like, how do I trade it? And the way I've thought of it is that when you see a move, how much volume is behind the move? Because price moves all the time, but is there actually buyers behind it? Or is it just kind of like a slow bleed up and there's not a ton of buying? Um, that really stamps like a stamp of approval on like how, should this move be trusted or believed? But you even simplified it further. And that's basically to say that if you're getting higher highs in price like this, so price is trending up, then you want to see volume increasing. You want to see volume behind that move. But if you, in
Right.
fact, see volume trending down, that's a really good sign that there are less and less and less buyers as you get up there. And that's why markets move in zigzags. And that's a really good signal to just get out if you're
Yep.
trading, obviously, and then look for trades that you can take against the top of that range. And then, like we saw in AION, if price is trending down and down and down, you should see selling happening a lot. But again, if you see that sell volume decreasing,
Yep.
really strong signal. So it's,
Exactly.
yeah, like when used along with price action, volume can really help you see behind the
And
noise.
that's the type of trader that I was. Like, I never was a scalper, was never into like really day trading, but I found some success even outside of the bull run. Like we all found success in the bull run. Buy ICOs, get rich. a simple concept. But
Yeah.
in 2018, before I started my full-time like journey into solving some of the problems I'm trying to solve today, and everything that comes along with that, fundraising and everything else, I traded like for a living, alongside you and some others. And that for me, it was largely price action, which you know Don, right?
Hell yeah.
Our guy Don. I mean, you and Don used to do a bunch of streams together. That was a big thing that he focused on, and for me, it was volume and support and resistance, and just it wasn't much more complicated than that when it came to majors and when it came to Bitcoin for me.
It doesn't have to be. It certainly
Right.
doesn't have to be. Now, I went through, level 1, 2, 3 over at TRI, rationalinvestor.com, and that's obviously been my bread and butter going forward. And I learned, a lot of this stuff from Brian Beamish over there. And so he's obviously, he's been doing it for 30 years and he got tons of tools. But part of what I noticed in that program, I mean, he's got probably like 36 modules, and it's really just like a tapas bar, it's a sampling of everything. And I ended up leaving with fibs. You guys are going to see fibs, fib extensions, chaos PRZs, the fib tool right up here,
Yep.
Fibonacci retracement. I mean, you still remember that probably from back
Oh
in the
yeah.
day.
No,
Like
I love the old fib.
it's
I'm not
everywhere.
as big of a fan of like a lot of other more complicated indicators,
Yeah,
certainly,
there's
but
GAN and there's all this. And I do it out
right.
of interest. I find it fascinating, but you don't need much. And I'm going to show you an example of, it's actually a chart I put out this morning. Where is it? Always forget. I got a little mixed up lately with all my bloody chart templates. Here it is. Thank gosh. Thank goodness here. So look, this is like as simple as it gets as far as just, 3 different things really. I mean, you don't even need all these. You didn't need these. I didn't use these. So what you had here on DOT, aside from just a fundamental understanding that it's a pretty dope project that's going to get a lot of hype and, something I'm shortlisting just for that reason. But what we had here is a big pop-up. Okay, new launch, sexy coin, let's rally it. Everyone's excited. We get the pretty standard pullback down into this reload zone. So the one thing you need to know is how to draw a fib. We have a video on that, and I can post it right here with a card. So click that if you want to check it out after the show. And then we've got this trend line. Okay, candle body high marks the top of the move. I'm going to use my magnet tool and draw that trend line. I'm going to draw the rest of the trend
I'm a
line
Wick guy. Wick,
Yeah, so you
Team
like
Wick
to use
over here.
Okay, Team Wix. See, I do a
Team
bit
Wicks
of
versus
both.
Team Body.
I'll admit that I flip-flop, so I'll do both as long as it's wick to wick or candle body to candle body.
You gotta stay consistent.
Just for the record, guys, you can do either. In this case, I use the candle bodies because it just fit better. And I like, sometimes one fits better than the other, and as long as it's legit, it works.
Yep.
So you have the trend line, you have the RLZ, and price comes down. It moves through the trend line, not a signal yet. Comes back and retests it. Some like to just buy that retest blindly. In this case, it worked great. Sometimes it just falls through. What I was taught and what I like to do is wait for bullish market structure, which again is just a low, a high, a higher low, and then a breakout. That is your signal that the bulls have taken over what was otherwise a downtrend before, right? So that's your reversal. It's the W shape.
Higher lows, higher highs.
Higher lows, higher highs, right? So, for a quick and dirty on market structure. So those very simple concepts, which, whether you like it or not, that is fairly simple. And if you're sitting there saying that, well, I find that confusing, that's complicated for me, hit us up in the chat, and I am happy to walk you through that, guys, on another day with another stream or even a pre-record. I can make it. So really, let's get this out here so that it's visual. 1 fib, step 2. Trend line, step 3, market structure. Oh, structure. So quick and dirty. My teacher brain just like exploded. Need that. So 3 things. And after that market structure confirmed, which it did right here in a very cheeky, subtle way, actually, on the close last week.
Cheeky, isn't it?
Yeah, cheeky, isn't it? You can see this here closed above the middle. So that is the confirmation. And sure enough, that's not rocket science. So people caught on to that and the buyers stepped in, and then today they really picked up. So this was like a long setup, and you don't need all the fancy crap that I have all over my charts.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that
about
stuff.
that's about for back in my day, back in my day,
Yeah, back in the day.
that's about what a trade setup would have looked like for me. I would have done a quick little RR, right, just to try to
Yeah,
figure out an entry and an
that's
exit.
exactly what I was about to do. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And then from there,
Yeah. So then
rock
you
and
got to
roll.
say, well, what am I going to risk? Well, I'm going to risk 9%. I'm going to buy, at the confirmation. I'm going to risk to these lows because if price goes back down there, I'm probably wrong. I should just get out and save my money.
Yep.
And then
Where's my
276
target?
is not high enough. And then that's the next step. And I actually draw these upside down fibs. So you just draw the reverse. You say, I'm going to go from the high. I'm going to go down to the low, which was back here. And then I'm going to say, you know what? Just like price was
Target
likely to
set
come back down here,
7%.
it's actually likely to range back up into here. And this is where the sellers will start to get interested again,
Yep.
as far as like getting out. And when you drag it up, I'll say the 702 is my favorite spot. It's the sweet
Yep.
spot. Look, I'm getting 4.81. It's like
Plenty.
basically 5 to 1.
Anything over 3. Anything over
Yeah.
3 for altcoins for me was good to go.
Yeah. So there you go. And so that's like a really simple, easy, fair. I would say easy to understand. And that's easy for me to say because I know it. But for those of you watching, again, if you find that complicated, let me know. Clarifying questions are welcome. Any questions, really. And so look, like, yeah, I'm gonna lose 8.5% if I'm wrong. I'm gonna make 42% if I'm right. And maybe I just want to get even chintzier right down to this high here. So I'm maybe a little safer. I'm more likely to be correct. I'm still getting 4 to 1. So yeah, trading can be much simpler. And I think it's important, first of all, come in here and ask questions because I got a lot of people that's like, sorry for the dumb question. I'm like, whoa, hold up, brother. That is not a dumb question. Everyone in here was wondering that. You're just the one with the balls to ask. So please, don't be shy, guys. Sit up front, ask a lot of questions.
And look at something else,
And
RT.
yeah, what do you
Look
got?
at the volume back on August 24th and draw your little trend line from August 24th volume down to today.
Ooh.
And as you can see, as the price was declining through August 24th down to the 19th of September, the volume was declining as well. So same kind of concept where there was just less and less interest over time at those lower prices. It doesn't surprise me at all that we're seeing an uptick in volume now as we're starting to see that price start to reverse. So
Yeah, that's a
it just
really
kind of
nice.
goes back to what we just talked about.
Exactly. Nice tie-in because yeah, the selling was high here because we're up here. A lot of people taking profit. I think the pre-sale was up like a huge amount.
Yep.
So they're, sellers, big sellers, big sellers.
Just a little less interested. Just
And
as
then
it went, just a little less, and that just starts to tell you, okay, we're getting there. We're starting to heat up a little bit. Get
yeah.
get
Now
back to a place where it makes more sense to buy.
and this shows a sell, but I mean this thing closed like $1 below.
But it's still more volume. It's still higher
Yeah.
volume as price is going up. So
Yeah,
it's less
exactly.
important whether it's sell or buy volume. Point is, there's just more interest.
That's
At
what I was
those
going to
prices.
say. And this
Yeah.
could have easily like $1 higher on the close, and this would have been a green bar. So really what we're
Mhm.
seeing is a pickup of volume as price
Yep.
moves up. So this is actually a really sweet reversal. I don't think
Yep.
this is done yet, and I'm certainly not done hunting it. I'm not in this long because as you guys know, once I see this, I get even chintzier and I try to follow it up and then catch my entry on that.
Chintzy is a good word. This is the word of the day. Chintzy. Putting this on the
Chintzy.
whiteboard.
There you go. Please hit me up on the whiteboard.
Stick it on my whiteboard.
And you guys know what you guys watch, and I'll miss a lot when I do this, but when I hit, I get that sweet spot bottom entry, and I can actually take a little more leverage because I'm closer to my stop. So I'll be watching this closely because if we, wherever this move ends, interesting that it didn't pull back hardly at all today on that dump. Something like this, that's what I'm looking at. And at this point, it never looks likely when it's hasn't happened yet, but once it happens, it looks pretty cool. So I'll be keeping an eye on DOT. Now let's get into a couple. We've got some requests from Core. Oh my goodness. I was charting Core the other day. Hey, look at that. Uniland caught a little pump overnight, retraced right back into the sweet spot. It was a pre-sale we did. DeFi. Okay. Core.
Shout out to ChartEX, another one of our homies from back in the day. Built that platform.
Oh yeah, you guys connected with ChartEX? Well, ChartEX.
Well, no, one of our guys from back in our day was a guy who wrote a bunch of Discord bots for us and stuff like that. He's the one who built this. So
Oh,
shout out
dope!
to
I
him.
didn't know that. There you go.
Oh yeah, we're all very incestuous.
Everyone's got
Everyone
their
knows
finger in
everyone.
all the puddings. Okay, well, we're at the 88.6. Now, you guys remember last time I talked about Core was right around here, and we actually just got that setup that we just talked about, right? Sliding into the RLZ, coming down, always with the black ink. We got to get the white ink. and then that breakout, and then this is exactly what I was just talking about. So what I'll do is I'll wait for that breakout, and I'll draw up the fib from that, and then this is my entry down here. Actually, my sweet spot would have got front run by a smidge, but there you go. And where did the price stop? Up here? Yep, right into that short RLZ. So this is why I use that kind of stuff for targets. Again, you're not going to catch a big long trend with that kind of strategy, but as you can see, it's these fibs, man. I'm telling you, it's these fibs, bro. Down into the fib, up into the fib, down into the fib. So lots of
And
trades
even as
to
a
make.
price action trader, I mean, just look at where that last resistance was prior to that pump, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if like anyone with no TA experience could look at the chart if they were determining to take a long down towards that bottom and determine that a decent take profit would be the level below that yep, that one, and then the
yeah.
level below that, and then that top one. And if you look, those were all points of resistance on the way back up and would have all been perfectly reasonable places to sell or take some profit. So
Yeah, and
simple.
I would argue that there's a lot of chicken and egg going on with fibs and resistance and
Yep.
support, right? And
Yep.
one comes from the other. Likely, a lot of support and resistance forms off these Fibonacci levels. So it's really like how it makes sense to you. Just roll with it.
Yep.
We got Mammoth here. Bit Mammoth says info the other day really helped. So shout out to you, and I appreciate that feedback. Core's doing was made for journey to the Earth's core. Yeah, okay. Smoking is calling the bear on
Yeah,
Core. And
I don't like this chart. I don't know much
no.
about some of these Uniswap gems, but I wouldn't buy this.
No, if you guys want to learn about Uniswap gems, if you want to dive into the weeds, so to
We
speak,
know a guy.
then you need to catch Crypto Messiah on Sunday nights. And
We
his
know a guy.
video, his video is going to be live on our YouTube pretty soon. He was live last night on Periscope. Obviously, a big supporter, like basically a founder of Hxro, and he's one of our bros here at HxroLabs. So if you guys want to get into that, ask him. I'll straight up like ask him. I don't dive into these. I'm happy to chart anything you guys want. Anything with wheels, I'll drive it. But yeah, I don't know what Core does. I'll tell you what, Core sounds like the OG coin. Like it sounds like the one that everyone's copycatting right now, right? You got this Core, that Core, this Core. So this one's probably safer than some of the others. But I mean, hey, we're right at sort of this Wyckoff check over here. The reason I don't like it as much is because we already checked that level right here. So that check is complete. The fact that we're back down to it tells me we probably need to come down and clean up a little more down here.
Yep.
Bottoms don't form overnight. So now we are getting to the top of the hour, and we did talk about doing an hour today. How are you feeling for time right now, Joel? You got
I
some.
do have a conflict coming up.
You got a thing coming up. Okay, perfect.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's get back to our screens. I'm happy to stay on for a few minutes after, so we can actually just let me flip back to my screen here. Boom, there we go. So let's wrap up our sort of interview hangout part of the sesh today, because I know you got something coming up, and then I'm going to flip back over, and we'll stick around and do a couple of charts for you guys myself. So if you're here watching and you're like, man, I really wanted to see this chart or talk some more price action, I'm going to stick around for like 15, 20, and I'll do that with you. But before that, I got to say goodbye to my friend here. So what are your final thoughts on
It's not
today?
goodbye. It's see you soon.
Yeah, there you go. Not goodbye.
No,
See you later.
yeah, I mean, if I had higher level thoughts, I am I have not been more bullish on crypto price action in particular ever. Maybe I mean since August 2017, where at the time I remember being very adamant with my friends and people in my circle that like this was now or never kind of thing. And if you're not familiar
Yeah.
with what happened in August of 2017, go do some research and check it out. But it was the beginning of something very special. And I'm very, very optimistic about what the next 24 months looks like for investors in this space,
Yeah.
especially as we continue to democratize access to this ecosystem through products like Stacked. And there's many other examples of great companies trying to do great things to help further lower the barrier to entry to get into crypto, further democratize the information in the industry. And so, if you're newer to the space, especially, but even if you've been here for a long time, I think this is kind of what we've been waiting for. And So I'm very excited.
It is exactly that. And we talked about that last week. I mean, this is all the things we've been waiting for. Hyperinflation, printing extra dollars, global instability. I mean, these aren't things to necessarily cheer for. But when you've been sitting through a bear market and you're bullish on Bitcoin, and then the whole thesis starts to come together and you see companies and corporations pouring their treasuries in by percentages at a time, you can't help but get excited. And I love the old question. It's always after a big pump, and then someone sees in the news, Bitcoin hits 13K. And then you spend a week telling your no coiner friends, they're like, is it too late? Is it too late? And I'll give them the same answer. It's never too late to start learning about it and, seeing what exposure you can get. So
Especially if you're an investor, like if you're a trade, are you asking me as a trader? Then yeah, maybe this week it's too late. Maybe wait for a cool down and then buy back in. But if you're an investor, if you're coming to me like, listen, man, for the next 10 years, I want to have exposure to crypto, then no, it's not too late. I have a lot of spot exposure to crypto. I also have a lot of spot exposure to Tether and other things. But like for me, if I'm holding crypto, it's because I believe it's going to go up in value. I'm not holding it because I think it's going to go down. So when people ask me, like, is it going to go up? Listen to me.
Probably.
I think it's going to go up. My name is Bitcoin Birch. I own a crypto company.
Yeah.
What are you talking?
Yeah.
It's going to go up.
Yeah. I'm investing all of my time into a space.
My entire life.
And
I
guess
think it's going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, it's just a matter of how to navigate it and exactly, deciding who you want to be in the space. Do you want to be a trader? I fucking love trading. But I also liked gambling back in the day. I liked poker. I liked risk. So it was attractive to me to be in control of my hand and to be, playing the markets. But like we said, an index is probably going to outperform 90% of traders or more in the next little while.
Yep.
So I look forward to hearing about V2, and that's probably a really good time for me to invite you back on here to talk some more charts.
We'll launch your basket. We'll launch the RT basket.
I hope so, man. Because I looked at a few yesterday. I was like, but where's AVAX? Like I got a few in there I want to add. So whenever that feature is available, you call me up and I'm going to be on there creating a basket. Now, thank you, though, for today, because for a guy who does not do a lot of charting and trading, you dropped a really hot bomb on us around volume and some simple rules. Volume up with price up, bullish. Price
simple
up,
stuff.
Volume down, bearish. So
stuff that a lot of people here probably know, but I like to, I like to repeat it. But I also like to stress that it doesn't have to be complicated. Some of you may have a real desire to trade. I don't know why. I do not like trading, but some people I care a lot about. My guy RT, BTC, Jack Sparrow, and others absolutely love the entire every aspect of trading. And so if that's something you're truly interested in, you can start very simple. You can be profitable keeping it simple, and then you can go from there.
Yeah. There you go. So you heard it here first. That's actually part of our intro and outro every day is trading simplified. So it's what we're doing over here. And I will let you go because I know you got tons of shit to do. You got corporations to go do takeovers with and whatnot. So I'm going to let you get back to work. And for everyone else who's watching, just stick around. I'm not leaving, but we're going to say goodbye to Birch and have a wonderful day, sir.
All right, folks. Take care. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Take care, brother. All right. Let me flip over here to a screen share. And let's see. Whoops. We'll switch over here. We'll just do a couple of charts here. I don't think I got my fill. I'm certainly about to jump off and do some charts anyways. So let's talk charts. All right. So let's check in with the chat. Don't know, but the D chart looks like the last pump was a bull trap compared to the other coin cycles, assuming slow bleed to 122K. Yeah, smoking 87. I'm not too bullish on this chart. I think like we just talked about, we had price moving up and volume kind of struggling. There's a lot of excitement. And when you get a huge pump at the gates like this, it often takes a while to clean up. We've talked about that for a while. So yeah, there's something to be said for taking a shot here against these lows. But I think there's a lot more opportunity out there. So let's go take a look at it. XIO I talked about last week, for example, is, has already unwound. I mean, this thing had a sick rally, full sort of Elliott wave cycle, peaking back in August, and it's just been trending down since. So I like things that have been in long, boring downtrends. I also like when those long downtrends are showing sort of a fall off in volume. There's a lot of selling back here. There's not so much down here, even less at the bottom here. And we just popped up, which to me is a potential for a marked new bottom. down at the 88.6. That's 80. That's almost 90% of this rally taken back. So it's down, right? And those are the things I like to buy. And then here, even more, let's get the 4 hour. So even now, as we come back down, let's get this nice and big. What I want to see is even less volume. And well, let's see. We got some buyers, sellers. Oh, there's some sellers in here on the 4 hour. Let's see what our MACD shows, our momentum. It picked up a little today. It's not too surprising. Let's see. So we had a low. We printed a lower low. And then at the same time, we had this. Let's see if that's higher. Yeah, it's a higher low. So, I mean, there's some signs of divergence in here as well. I think I'm going to be interested. I actually did pick some of this up on this first pivot, which was, as you know, the pump chase zone. Probably a little overzealous, maybe about a quarter of the position I was looking for. So this slide in here is part of my trade. I would like that, actually. As counterintuitive as it sounds, after I buy, I want to see it go lower because I actually have more bids through here. So this is one I think is interesting, again, because of their flash staking. I think that's just a cool concept, and I don't see why it won't get some airtime. If nothing else, just to get like a push back up here, right? This is the ultimate trade for me right now. I'm not trying to say like, oh, new highs, blah, blah, blah. This is the new bottom. Could be. But I mean, even a move up to like the top of the RLZ, even up to like old resistance right here, that's a pretty sick move. That's like over 100%. So that's one of the many trades I'm looking at right now. It's XIO, and it is just sliding into that zone. So keeping an eye on that. Now let's take a look. THETA. Okay, talked about DOT. Another one I'm watching. FUTs. Bin FUTs. My futures account. Let's see. I think I had one here. What about ink here? Let's take a look. Yeah, so THETA is one you guys know I've been watching. Gave an opportunity to reshort over the weekend, right up at that sweet spot. I mean, God, guys, getting the picture here yet? This stuff is sick. I took the weekend off of trading, so add that to the number of times I missed my theta short. But again, I had a good theta short, just scalping through here. But we'll see. It's hard to take weekends off, but there's cost to everything. A little risk reward on how do you want to spend your life. I have a girlfriend. We're in a relationship. I had to spend some time. And I don't regret it. We had a really good time. And now I'm back to it. So let's take a look. I mean, we're in this pump chaser zone. We had a bullish market structure confirmation. So that looked really promising. Then we had a bearish market structure confirmation. So this thing is consolidating, and that's what you get. You don't get a whole lot of, when you're not trending, you're just more like consolidating. I still lean bearish on this one on the higher time frame. In fact, that was, oh my God, that was the entry. I always talk about, right? When you get this breakdown in structure, you can just drop the fib and usually catch your entry on the short right here. So I'm a little sad now that I think about it. Oh no, that came in hot on Friday. It looks like Saturday. So yeah, pretty sick short entry. And I still think this thing's going to have to clean up. And that probably means some kind of this. And that would be pretty normal, healthy stuff. I mean, somebody holding it from here would say that's really bearish, but zooming out on the chart, long term, that's going to look pretty freaking normal. So who knows how far, how deep, how long, but it's not looking like it's going to make new highs anytime soon. And we can actually see that with the volume, right? Some buyers stepped up here. In fact, there's still kind of a lack of high selling going on. So keep that in mind. Grain of salt, but if there was a long, it's probably pretty bloody close right now. Like, let's see. Yeah. So like if I was trading this big breakout, me, I'd probably wait for that breakout, drop my thing and try to get long on it. But because of my higher time frame thesis on it, I won't be doing that. Right into that. So you could argue that it's sitting in here. So what would it look like? Well, first of all, I'd have to get rid of some of this ink. For me to change my mind or try to scalp long it up into here, I'd have to see something like this. Get that breakout, go. Because I'm high time frame bearish, I don't want to rush into a long here, just trying to buy this snipe, but somebody did bounce nicely. Any other thoughts before we go? I see we got 26 people here watching. I want to make sure that I'm talking about or showing things you guys are interested in. For myself, I look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, and I think that because we came up so strongly last week, I already told you I sold my spot up around these highs, and I have an order to get them right back if we exceed the highs again. So I feel like I'm kind of hedged out of this move at the moment. I'm pretty comfortable with that given the little move down today. But, if we did come back down here to test that level ever, it's going to be a really sick buy opportunity. And I actually think more people want us to pull back right now than they do to go ahead, which is interesting. So I don't think we're just going to see like this kind of move. I really, I think this level in general should get tested at some point. But are we just going to have like a chill week and then move up into all these location objectives? So there's a lot of things sort of calling to the price up there. Anyone's guess. I will tell you this: the weekly is extremely bullish, period. So it's not a time to be rushing into shorts. Me, spotting an opportunity to get out of my spot exposure right here. That's not the same as shorting, right? Like I said, I didn't put a short on my futures account, but when we squeezed up into here and on some of the lower time frames, I noticed some bearish divergence. I decided, you know what? I'm just going to sell my spot that I bought at like 11,000. So I get a nice gain on that locked in. And I have an order. And as you can see, I have an alert here. Spot rebuy trigger, right? So if we go up there, I'm going to be right back in. But if we don't, I won't lose any money. So that's why I did that. It's not the same as shorting to me. At least not like aggressively. So, but really, Bitcoin is just kind of like chilling in the range right now. Could argue that the range high is here and the range low is here, which would mean our range EQ is the 0.5 of that. So let's see where that is. Right here. I like to make that a nice blue dotted line. I like to make the range low green because it reminds me to be buying range lows, not selling. And then the range high is red. So, yeah, we're just ranging for now. I don't think it's too crazy. Hasn't lost any serious levels. And, we could just regain the EQ. So let's keep an eye on this. There's probably a lot to be said for, stepping in on these RLZs of this move, because this is not really how tops form in markets, right? This, like, to race up here, yeah, we got rejected here, but like, I'm not convinced at all that this is some kind of top of this rally. To me, it's like the start of the bigger move. So keep that stuff in mind. SYS, yeah, let's check out Syscoin. Just bought at 350 sats. Yeah, Paul J, I'm going to check out Sys for you. Trendline videos are really helpful. Would love to see a deeper dive into fibs. Okay. All right, James. John, if you could write that down, make sure I don't have my pen next to me. We'll keep an eye out there for some more fibs. I was actually just putting together a thread. Yeah, fib doesn't look the same. Okay, James, I think I know your problem. Well, the issue you're having. So take a look at my fib. This is not the way it looks. Now you can save, so if I go to apply defaults, this is probably what your fib looks like, right? So out of the box, this is the default fib. It's kind of messy. It's got all kinds of levels that I don't even use, that I don't need. So I go into my fib. Now I've saved it as a template, my hero fib. And then, so I've reprogrammed it to look like the way I want it. So here are my settings. If you pause or screen grab this, I put my labels on the right instead of the left. That's about the only other setting I have. And you can play with it. You can make the background awful or non-existent. I like it around here. And yeah, take a look. I've got a few fibs. And as you get more into this stuff, you can make your own. So there's definitely some other levels on here people like to use. I got my fib extensions, which I really like. They can be great for finding profit levels where price hasn't even gone yet. So if you guys watch a stream, you know I've been talking about those as well. So in that case, you would like draw from the bottom to the top of this pivot, or this move, and then if price continues, there's a pretty good chance it's going to get some resistance up here around this level. At very least, it's a great place to like start setting some take profits. Waves. Okay. Syscoin and waves. Let's do it. Where are they at? First of all, the Dixie. The hell? It's at resistance, but it keeps coming back to resistance, printing higher lows. So I'd be a little nervous here. This thing, if we get out of this downtrend channel, forget about it. Sorry, guys, but Bitcoin's probably going to shit the bed through that. For now, the Dixie is in sort of like a big long downtrend, and it looks like it's trying to reverse. So we just got to keep that in mind as we head into late Q4. I don't think that means Bitcoin has to dump, but in lieu of some other news that would push Bitcoin higher, this would not be great for it. So huge level. Cannot overstate the importance of the Dixie right now. At this resistance here, this downtrend resistance line, like if this fails eventually, like finally after testing, that's going to be so bullish for Bitcoin. But if it breaks through, look out. Let's take a look at SIS. I've got, whoa, look, there's Paul J's buy. Yeah, whale. Just kidding. But I have an old chart of this. Oh my God. Full retrace. So for anyone here who's new to crypto, new-ish, and of course, altcoins are sexy. They're my favorite part of crypto. That's where you can make the asymmetric returns and not have to wait, full cycle, because I'm sure Bitcoin will be multiple X at some point based on wherever you bought. It's already like, 3X if you bought the lows this year. So yes, you can make big money on Bitcoin, I think, potentially. But altcoins are the sexiest part. But for anyone who's new, do you see this chart? This is not unusual. Okay. Doesn't mean it's a pump and dump, doesn't mean it's a scam. But for a lot of people, altcoins are just right now at their level of maturity, they are just a vehicle through which to make money. So buy, send it up, sell, let it drop. Buy, send it up, sell, let it drop. And you see these full cycles all the time. And so that's why I'm always preaching during the bull market. People are like, oh, you're missing out, you sucker. Because I keep saying shit like take profit. And yeah, maybe I took profit here and here and here and here and here. And it kept going up. And that day I just looked like a scumbag because I didn't have all the money I could have. But all those profit objectives right now, they're looking pretty good compared to where we end up. And that's just what happens in alts so often. And I think there will be a day when we might not have to come and just visit the lows because there'll be real demand. Right now, most of these are just stories, right? They're just stories. They're just, they're just speculative stories. This partnered with that. This is going to do that. This is going to serve this sector and solve that problem. It's going to be huge, but it's not huge yet. None of these coins are. And that's not to bash them, but that's why they will go right back to their lows, their breakup points often after a huge rally, because there's nothing really propping them up in the way of organic demand. I'll give you an example of one that is much more matured. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this kind of stuff in altcoins going forward. And this is one Binance coin. This was the bear market. It actually started right here. It never really had a bear market. In fact, through 2019, it was the biggest bull in crypto until you had a very clear market top here with what a sick trade. I wouldn't get into that, but like this, as far as like the concepts we talk about on stream, this was your fail right here. And instead of panicking and worrying about missing it, you just drop your fib from the high down to that fail low, and you start looking for shorts up in that RLZ. And sure enough, those pushes back up or for the late bulls, perhaps trying to buy the dip and send it. But we know better. With this market structure fail, smart money, big traders, blah, 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 they're not going to push that to new highs. They're going to let it fall. They're going to exit their position, which they did here. And then we went into the BNB bear, which is now reversed and actually looks really bullish on the high time frame. Point is, I think a lot of alts are going to start to resemble this type of chart where they don't just go and completely retrace their entire thing, but you need demand. There is demand for BNB coin. I use it personally for fees. It saves me money. And I saw that back in August. Actually, I didn't get in July. I got in August 2017 because I thought, holy shit, this is a coin that I need right now. I need to use it. I trade, and this is going to give me 50% off my trading fees. So I require it. I actually have to go buy it to do something I need to do. And the other coin that went crazy that year, Ethereum. Why? Because you had to buy it to have access to ICOs, which were making people tons of money. So find coins that have real demand baked into them, and you will not have to suffer through those same 100% retraces like you did with Syscoin. So Paul's question is, what do you think of that buy? I mean, first of all, I love the location. Hell yeah. You look at a chart, you think, where do you want to buy? Probably against the lows. But let's zoom in. Yeah, I mean, look at that, right? No interest, selling, drying up, selling, drying up, selling, drying up, huge buying stepping in to mark potentially the bottom, saying buyers are here, they're going to protect this level. So generally speaking, I want to get long with the big money. I want to get long with the guys who put bottoms in markets, which this could be. Now we've got our breakout. That's an extension. I don't need that. I'll switch to my hero fib line. Yeah, I mean, I like this actually, Paul. Not surprised. You've brought nothing but great setups and ideas to the stream before. Yeah, we made a lower low here, so it's not like a big like low, higher low yet. But there's some market structure there, despite this being a lower low. That's a big, changes things a bit. But yeah, I mean, why not? If you're really into trading altcoins right now, can't wait, then there's something to be said for this zone. And then I can look at things like that 786. I can risk to these lows because if it goes below that, I don't want it. And yeah, upside is pretty friggin' outstanding. In fact, I don't have to go far to get to my 4-to-1, my preferred level. So yeah, not a bad look at all. Now, I am not too eager to trade altcoins because I am still fairly convinced that Bitcoin dominance is going to trend up. That might mean Bitcoin price is going up, alts are going down. That might just mean that Bitcoin's staying flat, alts going down. Like, who knows? But I just think we had this long downtrend. We had a long consolidation, some bullish market structure. And I just don't think that this kind of breakout from here is expressed quickly like this. I think we're going to have to like really squeeze it out. So yeah, there's a trade in here for sure. I don't know if I would be looking to build a huge position long term, but if I was, that's still a level I'd be looking at. So yeah, good eye, Paul. See the chat flying. Let's take a look. Too early to buy alts USD. So that's actually the only thing I'm looking to trade right now. GoldenEye. Aside, like on my futures account, is alts versus Bitcoin, or excuse me, alts versus USD, because they're a little different, right? When it comes to Bitcoin dominance, taking my Bitcoin, trading it away for something that I think is going to outperform it, then I need to base that on this chart. And as you can see, we are in a risk off window, which means I am generally leaning, well, God, twice, really? Generally leaning. Okay, this is being difficult. One sec. I swear I can do two things at once. I'm just not. Yeah. So risk off, that just means that Bitcoin dominance is trending up and I am not that interested in getting rid of my Bitcoin for altcoins yet. What I think will happen right now, again, this changes day to day, but for now the trend is up. Trend is your friend. So I'm sitting in Bitcoin when it comes to that. But look at this. Last time we visited this trend line, we went up, made a lower high, made a perfect fail. That was a really good signal that Bitcoin dominance was about to shift to trends, right? We had a trend breakdown. And look at that. That's what preceded the entire altcoin rally of this year. So as soon as this happened, I was like, hell yeah, I'm hunting alts and I'm hunting them aggressively. Like if I see this, If I saw this and Bitcoin dominance like just flipped bearish, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, I'm buying that. Like this is a trade right here. The reason I'm not rushing into this is because, first of all, highs, tops form very quickly, as you can see here. One day, bing, boom. Bottoms, not so much. This bottom took a year. This next one, something. There may be a trade here, like, doesn't have to be the bottom. It can just be like a retrace of that huge, crazy dump. See that a lot. That's a different story, but I hope that makes sense. So for the Bitcoin dominance, yeah, until I see this trend shift, I'm just being a lot more risk off and focusing on my futures account because that's all versus USD and that doesn't really follow this dominance at all. So yeah, alts versus USD. But then again, the question is if Bitcoin's outperforming, then why not be trading that or Ethereum or whatever? So it's a tough sell for me right now to play too much in the alts. I'll tell you what I did buy. Because I put out this chart. I don't even know why. Like it just feels dead, but we'll see. I have a pretty tight stop on it. But I did actually go and buy some of this on the weekend. Tweeted as much to that effect. I actually don't even like it that much now that I'm in it after all the other coins I saw. I was like, really? Is this the one I chose? But I just looked at it. It was the daily. I said, look, complete washout. Same thing we just saw with this, right? Breakdown. Didn't even get the bearish retest like up into here. So people got trapped. And it's just sliding down. A lot of sell volumes basically drying up. We had a bullish divergence here. We had a bullish divergence forming on the RSI. We're embedded and oversold. We're sitting at the 88.6. I was like, oh, fuck it. Probably going to bounce. It's not my greatest setup, I'll be honest. I should, my style is usually to wait for something a little more like that. But I thought for once, because I look at so many charts and so many times I just see the 88.6. I said, well, I should have just bought there. So I tried it this time. I'm going to try it. So I did. We'll see. Now that I'm in the position, I hate it. I'm like, this is not my setup. Why didn't I wait for the bullish market structure? But hey, I'm long from 31, which it looks like it got filled because it hit 30 today. And we'll see. I'm going to have to cut at about 27. So I really don't want to see this low get broken. In fact, after the stream, I'll go set that stop loss because I couldn't set it till I got filled. So, I mean, that's a perfect 88.6 tag at 30. It's as low as I think it should go if it's going to be even remotely bullish. So that's the one altcoin for all my like standoffishness of altcoins. I actually did go and buy this because I'm a degen and I like to trade. A bit of a falling wedge with a RSI divergence and MACD divergence and lowering volume. I like it. But concerning, full disclosure, I went to their socials and like their last bi-weekly update was in March. So who the hell knows who's running their socials, but they look like a ghost. Love the trades you hate the trades you love. That's right. Cole Beasley dropping some nice wisdom. I love those two-way comments. Love the trades you hate. Yeah. So I hate this. It looks dead. But I'm trying something new. Yeah, I'm not taking any major risks. My portfolio will be okay. Even if this like rugged tomorrow and went to zero, I would survive. But for what it's worth, I am long on one altcoin and I traded some Bitcoin to get it. Now, the other reason I did that is because, Bitcoin's kind of had its fun, had a really nice push, and now it's ranging. So that's usually a time when you will see some relief in altcoins. Maybe you will see this just chilling at this resistance. Maybe we will get, oh, God, come on. It's very possible that we're up against this resistance and we just chill, come back, even retest. Then later in the year, we go up and do that. Like, who knows? What I do know is this chart looks like it's ready to just, reverse a little bit. Let's see. Any other coins? We're going to wrap up here. It's 3:30. I went a little too long last Monday. I got off and I was like toast. I had to like nap for like 7 hours. I'm such an old man. So I may wrap here the hour and a half mark. I really want to get live on Twitch this week with some gaming. We did that a couple weeks ago. We sort of stress tested the systems. I think maybe we'll wrap here for the day. We stress tested the systems. I'm going to go back to face view, green screen. Yeah. Joel Birch here in spirit. That was a great episode with him. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And GoldenEye says he's been reading Atomic Habits and love it. Dude, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. I have read that book. I've listened to that book. And what I really need to do is go back and do it again. Because if I apply the principles in that book, that's Atomic Habits by James Clear, for any of you guys who are wondering what the hell I'm talking about. I'm really glad you checked it out and like it, because it is actually just a great book. Very interesting. Lots of good analogies and stuff. So with that, I think we'll wrap. So you heard it from Joel, tristack.com. Paid shill or a plug here. He's a friend of ours, friend of mine. He's actually the reason I got this job. He helped me get this job. So there you go. He's the reason I'm with HxroLabs. And I wanted to make sure that he gets in here to talk about that product he's built, because I honestly think I use it myself, and I honestly just think it's got a ton of value for people like us who are in the markets trying to make money. So shared that with you today. Have a wonderful day, trade. Good luck in the markets. Better than luck, though, is playing smart, making good decisions. So with that, I will drop my tagline, which is, whatever you do this week, always play from a position of strength. Take care, everybody.